You ever find yourself saying one sentence too many, knowing it could burn everything down? That's what happened to me. And it still replays in my mind like a movie I can't pause. A movie where I already know the ending, but still wish I could scream at myself to shut up before I crossed the point of no return. Because she was already drowning in suspicion. Already too deep in the web of lies I had spun. Already halfway to the truth, and still I opened my mouth and said more, spilling details she didn't even ask for. Burying myself with the very words I thought might save me. And that moment, that choice, changed everything. It didn't begin the way you'd expect, not with some fiery, reckless kiss under neon lights or a wild night of passion. No, it began quietly, like a spark you don't notice until it's too late, with late-night messages that seemed harmless, playful even, with a coworker who laughed at my jokes in a way my wife hadn't in years, and I told myself it was nothing, just conversation, just a little escape from routine. But that's how it starts, isn't it? One coffee became two, laughter spilled into touches, and I kept drawing imaginary lines in the sand, telling myself I hadn't crossed them. Not yet. But here's the truth, the kind of truth you only admit when it's too late. The affair begins long before the kiss, long before the touch. It begins in the secrecy, in the thrill of hiding, in the rush of knowing you're wanted by someone who isn't supposed to want you. And I was drunk on that feeling. By day, I was the steady husband at home, sitting across from my wife at the dinner table, smiling, nodding, playing the part of the man she thought she knew. And by night, I was someone else entirely, alive in the glow of my phone screen, alive in whispers exchanged in corners of coffee shops, alive in the heat of a hand brushing mine under the table, and it was intoxicating. But every secret is heavier than it seems. Every lie adds a brick to the wall between who you are and who you pretend to be, until the weight becomes unbearable. And I thought I was clever, thought I was balancing both worlds, thought I was untouchable. But the truth is, lies always rot, and sooner or later the smell reaches the surface. I told myself I had control, but control is the first illusion you lose when you start cheating, because the guilt grows claws, digging deeper with every smile my wife gave me, every time she trusted me, every time she leaned into me unaware that I was leaning away. And yet, I kept going, convincing myself that nobody would get hurt as long as nobody found out. But lies have a way of whispering louder than you think, and her eyes, my wife's eyes, began to sharpen, to notice the little things. The way I held my phone closer, the late nights I claimed were just work, the shift in my voice when I said her name compared to when I said someone else's. Then came the night that undid me, the night she asked me the question I had been dreading, the question that sliced through every excuse I had rehearsed, every defense I thought I could hide behind. She looked at me, calm but unblinking, and said, "Is there something you're not telling me?" My chest caved, my throat tightened, and for a moment I thought about lying, about doubling down, about burying the truth deeper where she couldn't reach it. But her eyes already knew. They had already seen enough, and I could feel it, the way suspicion had already soaked into her bones, the way the truth was already breathing down my neck. And in that moment, I could have stayed silent. I could have denied it. I could have let the silence stand in place of confession. But instead, I did the one thing I can never take back. I said more. I confessed everything, every message, every coffee, every touch. I spilled it out like poison, as if bleeding it out would save us, as if ripping off the bandage would somehow heal the wound. But it didn't. It only deepened it. It only tore open something that would never close again. Her face, I'll never forget it. It wasn't rage, it wasn't screaming, it wasn't the explosion I expected. It was silence, and silence, I learned, can be sharper than any blade, heavier than any scream. Because silence is what follows the shattering of trust. Silence is what fills the space where love once lived. And in that silence, I understood something I had never wanted to face. Sometimes the truth doesn't set you free. Sometimes it just burns everything down. I wanted forgiveness. I wanted redemption, maybe even sympathy. But what I got was the quiet turning of her face, the shift of her body away from mine, the wall of distance that built itself in a single breath, and I knew then that I hadn't saved anything, I had destroyed it. But here's the part nobody tells you. The story doesn't end with the confession. No, it unravels in the days after, in the way she looks at you differently, in the way the silence spreads like smoke through every room of the house, in the way even laughter, when it comes, feels hollow, and I lived in that silence, drowning in it, wishing I had said less, wishing I had lied even, wishing I had done anything but confess it all. Because the truth doesn't heal when it comes too late, it just confirms the betrayal. And maybe you're wondering why I told her everything, why I didn't stop at half-truths or omissions, but the sick part of guilt is that once it starts spilling out, you want to drown in it, you want to punish yourself with it, you want to hand over every shard of the broken glass so she can see just how badly you've cut her, and I did. I gave her every detail, thinking it might cleanse me, but it only poisoned us both. And still, there were moments, small, cruel moments, when I thought maybe, just maybe, she would forgive me. Maybe love could survive this. Maybe time could stitch together what I had ripped apart, but every time I reached for her, she pulled away, and every time I looked into her eyes, I saw not love but the ghost of it, the ashes of something that used to be alive. And the worst part, the part that haunts me, is that I can still remember how she used to look at me before, with trust so pure it felt unbreakable, and knowing that I shattered it, knowing that no matter what I do, I will never see that look again. That is a punishment greater than any she could give me. People think infidelity is about sex, about passion, about lust. But the real story, the one nobody tells you, is that it's about erosion. It's about the slow, silent crumbling of the life you built, the home you promised to protect, the heart you vowed to keep safe. And when it finally collapses, it's not with fire and fury, it's with silence, with absence, with the quiet that follows betrayal. And that night, as I sat there in the wreckage of my own words, I learned something I wish I could unlearn. You can dig a hole so deep with your lies that even the truth can't pull you back out, and once you fall into it, all you can do is keep falling, replaying every choice, every word, every moment that led you there, knowing you built your own grave one brick at a time. So if you're listening to this, if you're carrying a secret, thinking it's safe as long as you keep it buried, thinking it's harmless as long as nobody finds out, let me be the proof that you're wrong, because secrets don't stay buried, lies don't stay hidden, and when the truth comes out, and it always does, it won't set you free, it will bury you. And that's my story, not the story of a man who got away with it, not the story of a man forgiven,